Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari. Sodanandana Prajajanna Ranjana Jasodanandana Prajajanna Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jam Vishpad Paramahansa Prabhu Jakajaya Asatosra Shri Srimad. His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananda Gaura Vaishnava ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prem Sikho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Shri Shivara Krishna Gopiyas Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shivandavadam ki jai, Shrimaya Purnavidam ki jai, Gangamaya ki jai, Jamunamaya ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Gau Premanandi, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious Shishi Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Is it loud now? Yeah, I guess it's good. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 15, text number 9. Goyam Nripa Ka Pratiyati Karmabir Yughaviman Ni Bahuvid Dharma Gopta Samagata Sihi Sarasas Pati Satang Sat Sevako Anyo Bhagavat Kalam Rite Goyam Nripaka Pratihati Karmabir Yudhavimani Bhuvidharma Gopta Samagata Shri Sarasa Patipsatam Tatseva Kunyo Bhagavat Kalamate Gayam Nripaka Pratihati Karmabir Nindhavimani Bhuvidharma Gopta Samagata Sri Saraswati Satam Sat Sevakonyo Bhagavat Kalamrate Gayam Nripaka Pratiyati Karmabir Nindhavimani Bhuvidharma Gopta Samagata Sri Saraswati Satam Tatseva Kunyo Bhagavat Kalamrate
Samagata Shri Saraswati Satam Samagata Shri Saraswati Satam Satseva Yo Bhagavat Kalam Satseva Yo Bhagavat Kalam Gayam Nirvaka Pratiyadi Karmabir Yadvabhimani Bhuvidharma Gopta Samagata Shri Saraswati Satam Tatseva Yo Bhagavat Kalam Gayam Nirvaka Pratiyadi Karmabir Yadvabhimani Bhuvidharma Gopta Samagata Shri Saraswati Satam
Goyam King Gaya Nripa King Ka Hu Pratiyati is a match for Karmabhi by his execution of ritualistic ceremonies. Yugva, who performed all sacrifices. Abhimani, so widely respected all over the world. Bahuvit, fully aware of the conclusions of Vedic literature. Dharmagopta, protector of the occupational duties of everyone. Samagata Shri, possessing all kinds of opulence. Saraswati Satam, the dean of the assembly of great persons. Satsevaka, servant of the devotees. Anya, anyone else. Bhagavat Kalam, the plenary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rite, besides. Translation, and there's no purpose. We'll go to the next verse also. The great king Gaya used to perform all kinds of Vedic rituals. He was highly intelligent and expert in studying all the Vedic literatures. He maintained the religious principles and possessed all kinds of opulence. He was a leader among gentlemen and a servant to the devotees. He was a totally qualified plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means he's an incarnation. He's not Jiva Tattva, right? Yeah, he's not Jiva Tattva, he's an incarnation of Krishna. Therefore, who could equal him in the performance of gigantic ritualistic ceremonies? Next verse. Yam yasityan parayamudasati satyasi so doksha kunya sridbi yasya prajanam durudhe durisiso nirasiso guna vatsas vinodataha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki. All the chaste and honest daughters of Maharaj Daksha, such as Shraddha, Matri, and Daya, whose blessings were always effective, bathed Maharaj Gaya with sanctified water. Indeed, they were very satisfied with Maharaj Gaya. The planet Earth personified came as a cow, and, as though she saw her calf, she delivered milk profusely when she saw all the good qualities of Maharaj Gaya. In other words, Maharaj Gaya was able to derive all benefits from the earth and thus satisfy the desires of his citizens. However, he personally had no desire. Purport. The earth over which Maharaj Gaya ruled is compared to a cow. The good qualities whereby he maintained and ruled the citizens are compared to the calf. A cow delivers milk in the presence of her calf. Similarly, the cow, or earth, fulfilled the desires of Maharaj Gaya, who was able to utilize all the resources of the earth to benefit his citizens. This was possible because he was bathed in sanctified water by the honest daughters of Daksha. Unless a king or ruler is blessed by authorities, he cannot rule the citizens very satisfactorily. Through the good qualities of the ruler, the citizens become very happy and well qualified. Om Jnana Tamanandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukram Kotava Chala Pungunang Hayate Gurim Yat Kripa Tadaham Bande Shri Gurum Dyanataranam Vanchikalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvdevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So I have a question. How many incarnations of Krishna are there? What's the example? Waves in the ocean. A lot of waves in the ocean, especially the Pacific Ocean. Lots of waves, so many incarnations. So this is one of the incarnations of Krishna. We don't have much information about King Gaya, but that he was a very good ruler, and such a good ruler that the earth gave abundance. It's like the example is given here that when the cow sees the calf, milk comes, so much affection. In Vrindavan we have a pretty good sized goshal. We have cows and calves, and they let the calves go to get milk, And it's amazing how much. They're really enthusiastic, the calves, to get the milk, but they got to be held back, because otherwise they'll drink it all. Actually, and if they drink it all, they get sick because there's a lot of milk there. There's enough for the humans and for the calf, but the calf is worried. Why they keep on taking that milk? They want to get the milk. So much affection is there. So. The earth in the form of the cow was also very pleased with Maharaj Gaya, and therefore gave so much in abundance. Yeah. So this is the position of a real ruler, that they have good qualities. Here it's mentioned that he was a leader among gentlemen and a servant of the devotees. So although he was an incarnation of Krishna, he was a servant of the devotees. So Krishna likes to serve the devotees, just like the devotees, they want to serve Krishna. Devotees take great pleasure in serving Krishna. The greatest pleasure actually is in serving Krishna. Hopefully someday I'll get there. But I hear, I heard. So also Krishna, he takes great pleasure in serving his devotees, and that's what the whole spiritual world is about. It's all about service. There's no selfishness there. It's all just selfless. Everybody just wants to serve one another. Krishna wants to serve his devotees. Devotees want to serve Krishna. Devotees want to serve other devotees. It's all about service. So we're trying to change that mentality. In this world, everybody's number one. Everybody serve me. Actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said when devotees take sannyas, they serve out prasadam. That's what they be served. And he said that if someone wants to be served, that's evil. That's an evil mentality, to desire to be served by other devotees. But what is the proper mentality? To serve. The desire to serve the devotees. So that was a regular principle amongst the sannyasis. They had to serve the other devotees during prasadam. They would serve the others, get the proper mood. So yeah, there's so many incarnations of Krishna, and some of them have different purposes. Just like Dhanvantari, he was the incarnation of health. And when they were churning the milk ocean to get that immortal nectar, so the essence of that churning was Dhanvantari coming out, and he gave the immortal nectar. So he's the incarnation of health. And then there's incarnation of management. King Prithu. Prabhupada said he began city planning. Yeah, King Prithu. Yeah, he was the incarnation of management. Perfect. And when he was the ruler, Mother Earth wasn't giving grains, and he chastised. So why? Because the rulers here, they're nonsense rascals. So then he was able to pacify her and correct her and bring whatever was needed. So yeah, there's so many incarnations of Krishna, but who is the most munificent incarnation of Krishna? Lord Chaitanya. That wasn't a difficult one. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratu Seno. He's the most munificent incarnation because he's freely given out love for Krishna. Just like Krishna, he says, Sarvadhamam Parityajya, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me, I'll free you from all sinful reaction, do not fear. But Lord Chaitanya said, just take it. Therefore he went all over chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Not thinking who was qualified, who wasn't qualified. Just like in India, To this day, back then also, the Muslims are considered to be very low. You know, they did so much nonsense. I can't even say the things that they did in India. I can't even repeat here. Just horrible. But who was the Namacharya? Haridas Thakur, Muslim. And also Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they were ostracized from the Brahminical community because they became servants of Muslims. They were excommunicated, but they became practically the acharyas, you know, 2 of the 6 Goswamis. So very powerful personalities, but they were excommunicated. Lord Chaitanya accepted them though because they're great devotees of Krishna. And Jagai and Madai, they were so sinful, you can't imagine all the sins that they did. And to top it all off, the worst thing they did, well, at least Jagai, was he injured Nityananda. It was Madai. Excuse me, yeah, Madai. Madai, he injured Lord Chaitanya's dearest associate. So Lord Chaitanya, actually this is the only time where Lord Chaitanya even threatened to kill someone. It's the only time. Chakra! He was going to kill him, and then they were like, they knew this is it. But then what did Lord Nityananda do? Lord Chaitanya, please. Jagai, he stopped Madai from hitting me again. And as soon as Lord Chaitanya heard that, his heart became softened and he embraced him. Imagine getting embraced by the Supreme Personality. Big, long, he's tall, 7 feet, and long arms. Such mercy. So, Lord Nityananda is even more munificent because he stopped Lord Chaitanya from killing the dacoits. So many wonderful incarnations of Krishna come for our benefit. Yeah. And yeah, they come for different reasons. Yada yada hidharmasya glani bhavati varda abhutanam adharmasya tanatmanam sujamyam. Whenever there's a decline in religious practice and a predominant irreligion, I descend. So also to show a good example, just like Lord Ram, he came to show a good example. Ideal king. So here this King Gaya also, he was an ideal king. He was an expert king. And not like our leaders now. There's the president that we had recently, previous, they found that he said 13,000 lies they found. And then they asked him, do you ever lie? No, I never lie. Huh? But King Yudhisthira was famous, never told a lie. Amazing, huh? Not a white lie, not a black lie. Yeah. The white lies aren't so bad. Black lies, never told a lie. So we have amazing examples of leaders. And just recently also we have Prabhupada, such a great spiritual leader. So here in the purport, Prabhupada mentions, unless a king or ruler is blessed by authorities, he cannot rule the citizens very satisfactorily. So we've been blessed by the association of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. He came and he gave us the Bhagavad Gita. There was one, I recently heard about there was one Swami who had taught Bhagavad Gita for 50 years. But then he read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, and he told this devotee who was distributing books, he said, I did not know Bhagavad Gita until I read your spiritual master's Bhagavad Gita. And he was crying. He was telling, but as he was telling this devotee, he was crying. He said, your spiritual master was practically on the battlefield, hearing the Bhagavad Gita. 50 years he taught it and didn't know it until he heard Prabhupada, read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada just really blessed us with giving us the pure message of Krishna Bhagavad Gita. And the Srimad Bhagavatam gave us the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, such a blessing. You could read it over and over and over again. And so inspiring. You know, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they saved Jagai and Madai. But Prabhupada came and saved so many Jagais and Madais. Just like us Westerners, practically we've broken all the regular principles before coming. But Prabhupada comes and he delivers so many Jagais and Madais. Yeah, so this is the blessing of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, he didn't want to just bless his disciples. He wanted the whole world to be blessed by the mercy of Krishna. You know, hearing the glories of Krishna. So there's also example of Prabhupada who, when he was a child, when sadhus would come and visit his home, the father would always tell the sadhus, please bless my son that he becomes a servant of Srimati Radharani. That's such a nice father, you know. Amazing. Bless my son that he becomes a servant of Srimati Radharani. Because Srimati Radharani, she's the highest, higher than Krishna. You please Radharani, then sure, Krishna's pleased. Because Krishna accepts. If Radharani says, hey, he's good, you know, give me your mercy, Krishna accepts, you know, immediately. So he would ask all the sadhus to give blessings to Prabhupada. And he got the blessings, Prabhupada got the blessings of Srimati Radharani. Because Prabhupada is spreading the glories of Krishna all over the world, which is so pleasing to Radharani. So pleasing to Radharani that so many millions of people are getting an opportunity to hear the glories of Krishna and also to hear the glories of Radharani. So this is a blessing. And Haridas Thakur, he was very famous devotee. So he went to one prison. And the prisoners, they knew how great Haridas Thakur was, and they were thinking, oh, we have a great sadhu here to bless us. You know, and what did he say? He said, I bless you that you stay as you are in prison. And they were like, oh, what kind of a blessing is that? He said, because here you think of Krishna. You're in distress. So here you think of Krishna. So when you go out, you're going to go out and you're trying to enjoy your senses again. But here you're in a distressful condition. So therefore you take shelter of Krishna. Yeah. It's like you're feeling so fortunate because you think, oh, I'm a sadhu and I'll give you a blessing. Yeah. But the real blessing is to think of Krishna. To think of Krishna. So here you have better opportunity to think of Krishna when there's difficulty. Just like there's a great devotee who said, Vipida santuthasasvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darsyam yatsat apuna bhavanarsa. She praised this Queen Kunti, one of the greatest, the Vaishnavis, greater than most Vaishnavas also. Incredible. I don't know of anybody that prayed like she. She prayed for difficulty. Please, Krishna, send me difficulty. Because when difficulties come, then I think of you. And by thinking of you, I overcome the repetition of birth and death. So difficulty is very good. Blessing in disguise. And it is, it's said that anything sent by Krishna is a blessing for a devotee. It's like sometimes we're on book distribution and we get a lot of no's, a lot of rejection. But anything sent to us is a blessing. You know, those no's, they're blessings also to help us become detached and, you know, aware Krishna's in control, I'm not the controller, and take shelter of Krishna. You know, if there's a lot of yeses, then we just feel very jubilant. No, this is a great, you know, then we don't think of Krishna as much, isn't it? But if we get a lot of no's, then we, oh, Krishna, please help me. I can't distribute these books. Please help me to be an instrument in your hands. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing in disguise. So, of course, Lord Chaitanya, he came and gave us so much blessing, so much information, and so many of his devotees also blessed us by giving so much instruction. Just like Lord Chaitanya, he had this one great devotee. Of course, he had many great devotees, but there was one especially great. Actually, there's 3.5 that are the most dear to Lord Chaitanya. Ramananda Roy, Swarup Damodar, Sikimahiti, and Madhavi, Sikimahiti's sister. So Ramananda Roy was an extremely advanced devotee, so advanced that Lord Chaitanya, he was inquiring from Ramananda Roy. Now he's a householder. He was a politician. He was like a governor, like that. But he was inquiring from Ramananda Roy, what is real education? And he said, real education is to get the education of how to engage in devotional service. This is real education. Not this education you go to the schools and you learn about math and geometry and geography and this, 95% of the stuff we learned in school we don't even use, right? But this is real education, to get the education of how to engage in devotional service. And then he asks, what is a rich person? He said, a rich person is someone who has love for Krishna. That's a rich person. So many rich people, there's billionaires, millionaires, but they're not rich. Actually, it's more difficult for them to attain love for Krishna, because it's stated, Janmaisvarya, Shrutashribir, Edamara Madapama, Naivarhatya Vatatungai, Tomakinchana Gotra. That actually this is also by Queen Kunti. Very important verse. She says to Krishna, you are very easily approachable, but only by those persons who are materially exhausted. But those persons who have desire to have a high birth, Janma, Aishvarya, opulence, Shruta, education, Shri, beauty, they cannot call out your name with feeling. So when one is materially exhausted, it's much easier to call out the name of Krishna. Yeah. So then one has an opportunity to be really rich with devotion for Krishna. And then Lord Chaitanya asks, and what is the most worshipable object? Who can guess? The most worshipable object is the holy name. The Hare Krishna mantra is the most worshipable object. Because in this age, this is the process. Kalir doshanid he rajan asti heko mahadganam kirna deva Krishna se mukta sangha param bhajat. That in this age of Kali, there's so many faults, unlimited faults, just like there's unlimited incarnations of Krishna. There's unlimited faults in the age of Kali. But the one good quality is that simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, one can become completely purified of all contamination. Wouldn't that be nice? No contamination, no rascal mind. It's like Arjuna says to Krishna, please kill. He says, Madhusudana, killer of the Madhu demon, please kill this mind. And this is Arjuna. Arjuna is like, one of Krishna's best friends, it's so dear to Krishna. But he's also saying, I have this chanchalam hiya mana Krishna, this mad mind. He says, please kill this mind. Just as you killed the Madhu demon, kill this mind. So it's like we have two minds. We have a mind that wants to be a devotee, and there's a mind that's just a rascal. It's like we have two minds. So we're trying to kill the materialistic mind, the demon mind, which has a very prominent, secure position, and we've had it for God knows how many lifetimes. And now this one lifetime, we're trying to kill this rascal mind and have a devotee mind. Whew, what a challenge. And Krishna says, difficult things to conquer, I'm the mind. And you experience that? It's so difficult, the mind. Trying to chant, and the mind is, so many things are coming in. We don't want them, but they keep coming. So, and then Krishna says it's undoubtedly very difficult to control the mind, but it's possible by what? Practice and detachment. This is how we just got to keep going. You got to keep going and pray to Krishna that we get the strength to conquer this rascal mind. It'd be so nice to have a pure mind, huh? And that's the most difficult thing. The austerities of the mind. The most difficult there's 5 austerities of the mind, and the most difficult is to have a pure mind. Most difficult. Yeah. And Arjuna said this back. This is the end of Dwapara Yuga. Now we're thick into Kaliyuga here at Pacific Beach. Where Kaliyuga is 100% full on. So, and here we have a monastery. The monks trying to surrender to Krishna. So it's a challenge. But Krishna, he helps those who help themselves. So if we try sincerely Krishna, he will help us. So I have a nice book distribution pastime here. There was a devotee, president of a temple. He was speaking to one Mayavadi, and this guy was just letting all this Mayavad nonsense out, and the president was getting irritated because just all the garbage was coming out. So he's arguing with him, and going back and forth, and he's getting pretty irritated because this rascal. So then a bhakta comes up, and he's listening to the debate, and the bhakta says, you know what, to the Mayavadi, he says, you know what would be good for you? You should have a Srimad Bhagavatam. And he said, oh, what's that about? So the bhakta starts telling him something about it, and he says, all right, I'll take it. How much is it? And he gave the price. He said, all right, I'll take it. Full set. Full Srimad Bhagavatam set. And the president is standing there like, here this rascal, this Mayavadi, is just like, spurting out all this garbage, Mayavad nonsense. And this new bhakta comes up and convinces him to buy a Srimad Bhagavatam. And the guy, one of the most amazing stories I ever heard. That's somewhere in Europe. I actually didn't say exactly. But it's kind of interesting, huh? And now we have Mahotsa. He's out there selling sets to people who never heard of Krishna. Full Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah. Yeah, he did 2 within 10 minutes one time. Full Srimad Bhagavatam set. That's $350 each. He said you have to body slam the mind. He was speaking to some of us brahmacharis out there. You got to body slam the mind. Just got to knock it out, yeah. Because the mind that's the main problem. Just like that Avanti Brahmana, he was going through so much suffering. People were spitting on him and just just harassing him in so many ways. And he said, they are not the cause of my difficulty, but it is my own mind. The mind is the problem. So this whole process of practicing Krishna consciousness is simply to bring the mind under control and purify it. First we got to bring it under control. Yeah. Can't let it go here and there. Therefore Krishna says, Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalamascharam tatastato nyamyantat atmanyeva samya. For whenever the mind wanders, dude, it's flickering and unsteady nature, got to bring it back. Got to keep on bringing it back. Don't go over there. Don't go there. Come back. Just like a child, The parents, these 1-year-old child, they have to be constantly watched. Otherwise, it's like, actually just Sunday night, there's a little child, 2-year-old child, from the congregation. He's walking out on the sidewalk near the street. There's no parents around. Like, come on, you can just run right out in the street. So I went out, I grabbed the child, and then the mother shows up. Oh, thank you so much. He could have run out in the street. And they do that. They just run everywhere. So the child has to be watched constantly. Otherwise, all havoc can break loose. They could die. So the mind is like that. Got to be constantly watched. Don't go over there. Don't come on. Back to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hearing the name of Krishna, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam constantly. Tesam sadayuktanam bhajatam pritapurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenopyanchite. Krishna says, to those who are constantly devoted to me and worship me with love, I give them the understanding of which they can come to. He gives the intelligence. Dyampati. He gives the intelligence by which we can go back to Him. So that's spiritual intelligence, spiritual mind. We want to get that. It's like in the spiritual world, they have a mind too. But it's not a material mind. It's completely spiritual. So we want that spiritual mind again. We lost it. Now we're trying to get it. We got to kick this material mind down. Just keep on kicking it down. It's like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, you had to beat the mind 100 times in the morning with a shoe, 100 times in the evening with a broomstick. Now he said that to the Indians in India, but here in the West, you got to constantly beat the mind all day long. You got to beat it. No, don't go over there. So hopefully we'll be able to beat it down before the end of this life and have a spiritual mind, a completely spiritual mind that just wants to think and serve Krishna. Okay, any question or comment? Oh, the rhythm.
Yeah. Forgive me. I'm gonna. It's so pertinent to what you just said. This instruction. That's what you're talking about, controlling the mind.
Yeah.
This instruction of Rahugana, of Jadabhat to Rahugana, and it's all about the mind. I'll just read the translation. This is 5:11:17. This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O king, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. Now, in the purport, Prabhupada writes, right at the beginning, there is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered. Now, the word that he uses is neglect. But what he means is, because it becomes clear in the next sentence, disobedience. The mind is always telling us to do this or that. Therefore, we should be very expert in disobeying the mind's orders. Gradually, the mind should be trained to obey the orders of the soul. And then this, you're talking about Bhaktisiddhanta thing, but he cites that next. So the word neglect, he's using it in the sense of disobedience, but the problem is, in the translation, it says if one neglects it or gives it a chance, we're going to fix it, make it disobedience is what Prabhupada meant. Neglect in the sense of disobedience in this case. But that's exactly what you're talking about. You can't keep obeying the orders of the mind. You have to have a stronger, and gradually it gets... And then there's one point about Lord Chaitanya being the most munificent. he is the most munificent. Namo Mahavadanyaya literally means munificent, one is generous. Now Prabhupada often said he's also magnanimous, the most magnanimous. And he would use that, but magnanimous means forgiving, and munificent means giving. Magnanimous is generous in spirit, in the sense of you forgive, a noble spirit. But just as he forgave Jagat and Madai, so he's both the most munificent and the most magnanimous.
Okay. Thank you for that. Anything else?
I just want to let you know there is one question pending.
Okay, we have one more inside here by our Prakash. It looks like.
Prabhu, in today's verse, it said like he was blessed by the daughters of Daksha. So they are mountains, like, because Daksha is the Himalayas, if I am not mistaken. And the waters, like in the translation too, this was possible because he was bathed in sanctified water by the honest daughters of Daksha.
But Daksha, so you're saying that he lives in the Himalayas?
No, I think he is the Himalayas.
No.
Daksha is the Himalayas, right, Prabhu?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
He's saying Daksha is the Himalayas.
Daksha's the Himalayas.
No.
No. So, but
Daksha, he's a Prajapati. He lives. He lived in.
You're saying Daksha had some problems.
No, I'm saying like the daughters of Daksha blessed him.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Or
Well, they bathed him.
Oh,
That's they were cleansing him. And they were daughters of Daksha.
Why he got daughters? Because he had sons and monogamy.
Yeah.
Right? So the Daksha, he's as a Prajapati, so he's trying to populate the universe. So he has these, 10,000 Haryasvas, I think.
Yeah.
And he sent him away to meditate and everything. And then Narada Muni comes, and he gives him a riddle, actually. He preaches to him. And they understand it perfectly. And by understanding that, they become renounced and take sannyas. They're supposed to be Prajapatis. What's going on? So then when Daksha hears about it, he's very angry at Narada Muni, curses him, you're not going to be able to stay in the same place, very long. He says, oh, great, so he'll travel everywhere. And so then he had another 1,000 sons. All right, we'll try again. Shavalasvas. Sent them away. Same thing happens. They follow the path of their brother. They says, okay, forget with these sons. I'm going to have daughters. So he has all these daughters. And these daughters describes how they gave birth not only to human beings, but to all kinds of animals and everything like that. So this isn't a special pastime of these daughters. These daughters are very important in the population of the universe. So somehow they bathed him and they sanctified water. And
So in that way, it's a blessing that they bathed him. So that's like a blessing.
Yeah,
These are not ordinary girls. Shraddha, Maitri, and Daya.
Yeah,
These
well,
aren't
you see the
ordinary
names,
ladies.
what the names mean. Faith personified, friendship personified, mercy personified.
Yeah.
That's where they got
So
the
they
names.
he got some blessings, although he's an incarnation of Krishna. Still.
So we'll try to investigate and get more information from him.
Okay. Online? Or the Zoom?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vijaya Krishna Prabhu.
May I?
You may.
Yes, Vijay Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. My question is, in order for me to get the blessings of my authorities, what is it that I need to do? What is the price to be paid by me?
Well, find out what the authorities want, and within our ISKCON society, the authorities, if they're connected with Srila Prabhupada, they want to especially preach. This is what is most pleasing to Prabhupada, and therefore to any authority, distribute books. And of course, the things that we do, chanting Hare Krishna, chant our 16 rounds, come to Mangalartik on time. little statement there by Javita Prabhu. But it's not actually just to do this, to chant 16 rounds. Prabhupada said, One devotee, he heard this back in 1969, that if you simply chant your 16 rounds a day and you follow the 4 rituals, then you'll go back to Godhead. And the devotee heard that and said, well, that shouldn't be too difficult. Just, But then as the years went on, and he saw so many, practically everybody, having difficulty. It's 2 hours a day. If you don't have a taste for chanting Hare Krishna, then to do that for 2 hours. So this same person who was thinking that, he also had difficulty chanting his 16 rounds a day. So that's a big challenge actually for the rest of our life. Chant 16 rounds. We have to have a service attitude. So this is what is most important. It's a, what is it, Prabhupada says that to follow the instructions of the spiritual, I can't remember the exact statement. Yeah, it's in the book. If one strictly follows the order of the Acharya, then this is like the 5th regular principle, to strictly follow the orders of the spiritual master. So the order of the spiritual masters is so important. And Prabhupada's the founder Acharya, so all of our, he's like the commander-in-chief, Prabhupada. So all the others are following Prabhupada. So we follow them who are following Srila Prabhupada. And nowadays, when spiritual masters they initiate, I'm initiating you, as a representative of Srila Prabhupada. So to follow Prabhupada, to follow those who are following Srila Prabhupada, this will help us to grow very quickly in spiritual. So Dravida Prabhu has something. Yes.
I can confirm. I can get the research for this, but I'm pretty 99% sure.
Yeah.
And Prabhupada said, of course, the morning program is all important, everything in it. But in the morning program, the most important is the Guru Puja. And in the Guru Puja, we have that phrase, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aike Arnakadiya Monayasha. That this is Narottam. This is actually the mood of the song when he says by his old brothers, devotees, offer your obeisances with great attention, do this and do this, to make the words of the Guru one with your heart, with your mind, and don't desire anything else. So it all begins with that, by absorbing the instruction, and then if you actually follow that, then you'll be pleasing to your authorities, pleasing to Prabhupada and all the acharyas. But those words, which are abundant, Prabhupada's words in his books and his special instructions and how to preach and with his book distribution, the more that you can make those words one with your heart and actually accept them and act on them, then you'll be pleasing all your authorities.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, Vijay Krishna is okay?
Prabhu, as usual, better than okay. Very helpful, outstanding answer to my question, and thank you, Dravida Prabhu, for your wonderful contribution. Hare Krishna.